Good evening and thanks for joining me in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Canal 2 English. We begin this newscast with some of the major stories we are following. Now, following the socio-political uprising and insecurity in Manfe in the Manu division, some Manu chiefs have made a declaration calling on both government and the rival forces to embrace dialogue and refrain from all violence. And plus, 4 MPs of the Social Democratic Front have raised an alarm over an imminent plot to terminate them. In this newscast, we talked to one of the MPs, Honorable Banazem. Those were headlines. Their developments are more just right ahead. Now we'll begin with this story now following a social uprising and a political crisis that has been plaguing the Northwest and Southwest region. And of course, the uprising and violence in the Manfi, in the Manu division of the Southwest region of the country. Some Manu chiefs have released a declaration calling on the government and rival forces to refrain from dialogue, or rather refrain from violence and instead engage in sincere dialogue. Our reporter Indira Ayo completes that story.
The declaration signed by 6 chiefs in Manu division in the Southwest region emphasizes on the need for peace to reign in the division. This declaration is a prompt reaction to the socio-political crisis which has drifted to Manu in the past few days. Both the military and civilians are paying the prices for the escalation of violence. The chiefs in their declaration vehemently condemned the atrocities and killing of defense forces by activists. They equally frown at the lootings, killings, harassment, and torture of the population by security and defense forces. Faced with this disturbing situation, the Manu chiefs expressed the wish that things would return to normal in the days ahead. In the 13th of December 2017 declaration, the Manu traditional heads are appealing on the government to take all measures necessary to assure the security of the Manu people, build confidence within, and ensure the return of all who fled their homes as a result of the Manu SDO's order calling on them to relocate to safer neighborhoods of their choices. They are also, through this means, extending their condolences to families who have lost loved ones in the uprising, while calling on the populace to remain calm and desist from provoking security and defense forces. The Manu traditional heads finished by urging the population to cooperate with the forces of law and order to ensure peace and security in the entire Manu division.
One of the signatory of the declaration is on the phone right now. So it's Her Royal Highness, why this declaration?
We have our communities that are being attacked. There are excesses that are going on. We are not against the security and defense forces because they do so in the name of our community. But when they start, we find that the community is even being exploited in jeopardy. Then we are out to react to assure our community and those who perpetrate these excesses that at least there should be some moderation and the people's rights, human rights should be considered. There are some villages like Abokem that everybody's fled out and rightly or wrongly the forces of defense just hit the doors. Well, they would say they are looking for people who are inside or secessionists or terrorists, as they call. We prefer to call them people who are, we either call them activists or people who are reformists. Now, when they do that, they take away properties of people, and you know how these military people act. That's how we are. That's where we are there. Now, why now? Better now than later. But we've been trying for a long time to meet and been meeting a stone wall. The administration has been very not very comfortable when people come together for their own reasons. So I think that explains why. Even at the level of the Southwest Chiefs Conference, where the Assistant Secretary General, we've been trying to meet with and it's always been having these difficulties of us meeting, or the suspicion, or one kind of delayance or the other.
So, His Majesty, what are you actually condemning at this point?
We have our communities that are being attacked. the excesses that are going on. We are not against the security and defense forces because they do so in the name of our community. But when they start, we find that the community is even being exploited in jeopardy. Then we are out to react to assure our community and those who perpetrate these excesses that at least there should be some moderation and the people's rights, human rights should be considered. There are some villages like Akpokem that everybody's fled out and rightly or wrongly the forces of defense just hit the doors. Well, they would say they are looking for people who are inside or secessionists or terrorists as they call. We prefer to call them people who are, we either call them activists or people who are reformists. Now, when they do that, they take away properties of people, and you know how these military people act. That's how we are. That's where we are there. Now, why now? Better now than later. But we've been trying for a long time to meet, and been meeting a stone wall. The administration has been not very comfortable when people come together for their own reasons. So I think that explains why, even at the level of the Southwest Chiefs Conference, where the Assistant Secretary General.
His Majesty Tanya Robertson, one of the signatories of the Manu Chief Declaration relating to the recent escalation of violence in the Manu Division. Now, we'll now talk something else where some 4 members of Parliament of the Social Democratic Front have raised an alarm over what they call a plot to assassinate them after the show they put up in the just ended November session of Parliament. We caught up with Honorable Banazem on the phone, and here is what he had to say.
Our lives are threatened, and once for security reasons, if you get one information or whatever concerning your security, you should take it seriously because now we are having deaths all over, and we are a very, very possible target from both ends. But you know, we opted for that, and we cannot withdraw. We could not withdraw. We did what we did in Parliament because it was important to assess everybody on the situation on the ground, and we do not regret. Even if our lives are threatened, we are ready for anything.
Now we leave that and talk about something else. We talk about, well, the amount of garbage that is littered in most parts of the city of Douala, where inhabitants are practically cohabiting with trash this end of year. Now, at every major road junction, piles of dirt are littered on the road. Inhabitants and mostly business persons around such areas are complaining bitterly, and they are urging the hygiene and sanitation company alongside the government to do something to redress the problem. Indira Ayok.
The nauseating odor emanating from tons and tons of refuse dumps is what greets people these days in the economic metropolis. With the festive season at hand, the situation is even worse. Flies are invading homes, schools and offices after visiting the huge trash heaps at street corners. As you can see, our roads are flooded with trash. It is not healthy. If the competent authorities can get to work, it will be very good for us. For 2 weeks now, the situation has remained unchanged. Small roadside businesses are the most affected. Most of them say they have been forced to temporarily suspend their activities because they cannot continue to cohabit with refuse and flies. Some even complain of the negative effect on their health. For 2 weeks now, we have been unable to work. My voice is even affected because I have been sick. We plead on Hisacam to pay its workers so that they can get to work and relieve us from this stress. Because the trash cans are full to capacity, people are now emptying their trash cans on the road. Even the trucks of the refuse disposal company, which normally gets into some neighborhoods to take away refuse, are very absent these days. The situation is beyond their control, as the head of the communication of Hisacam says. We are doing our best, but it is not easy. Financially, we cannot do much. The government is owing Hizakam huge sums of money. We cannot continue paying workers and buying fuel and handling other logistics without money. As soon as that is resolved, we will get back to work. It is worth noting that the city of Douala alone produces about 1,600 tons of refuse daily, hence the need to clean up the city. Meanwhile, people have been urged to devise other ways of disposing their refuse to avoid the flooding of the streets with trash.
Now, the University of Ngaoundéré is partnering with the private sector in order to give students the best during and after study. The aim of this partnership is to prepare students for the job market and also for them to be job creators. Annette Ifeti-Some.
With its 5 faculties and 5 higher institutions, the University of Ngaoundéré wants to position itself as a development-driven force, both at national and at the sub-regional level when it comes to promoting sustainable development through research, innovation, training, creativity, and entrepreneurship. The university intends to collaborate with the private sector.
Vraiment, on est satisfait, n'est-ce pas, de cette rencontre.
We are satisfied from the discussions we've had. It's important for companies to contribute in the training of students. It will lead to a quality workforce that can stand competition.
Main-d'œuvre qualifiée qui puisse, n'est-ce pas, faire face à la concurrence.
The meeting with businessmen in the Adamawa will help authorities to develop their program and come up with a platform between the university and the public sector so as to meet the needs of local industries and identify opportunities in the public sector. We are coming up with the university's development plan and a vision. All is to transform and innovate the different sectors of education, research, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Many projects have been earmarked. The relationship between the University of Ngaoundéré and the private sector will facilitate the socio-professional insertion of youths.
Now we talk some agriculture where an inter-ministerial committee of experts in the domain of agriculture and the FAO have earmarked some major projects that will be financed in 2018 in order to boost development. Now Cameroon and the FAO, while renewing a 57 years accord, was to boost and professionalize the agricultural sector. Once more, Annette Ifeti.
It's urgent for Cameroon to step up its growth domestic product. Top officials from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, that of Livestock, and of the Food and Agricultural Organization have singled out some projects. We have reflected on better ideas, projects and programs to propose to the Ministry of Agriculture and the government for approval and implementation in 2018.
Approuvé et donc mise en œuvre dès l'année 2018.
An intensive, productive, competitive and modern agriculture will contribute significantly to sustainable growth as well as increase revenue for farmers and ameliorate food security.
La FAO est entièrement disposée.
Today, FAO is ready to provide its technical expertise within the framework of projects that have been chosen in the domains of livestock, agriculture, and environment. Hopes are tilted towards receiving support to promote self-employment, decent and sustainable jobs in the agricultural sector.
Now we talk some sports in this newscast, and the election to determine who is going to be the next president of the Cameroon's football governing body, FECAFOOT, is due to take place on or before February 2018. The announcement was made yesterday in Yaoundé by members of the Normalization Committee. Our reporter Tabby Clarkson sat through that meeting and brought back this report.
Members of the Normalizing Committee of the National Football Federation, FECAFOOT, granted a press briefing this Thursday in Yaoundé. Barrister Dieudonné Api, the president of the Normalizing Committee, said the text that will govern elections has been sent to the world's football governing body FIFA for FIFA to validate or not the rules and regulations desired by the Normalizing Committee.
Nous voulons des élections fiables.
We want credible elections. We want good elections. We want to put an end to the several normalizations. We have to take necessary measures so as to avoid the risk of cancellation of elections.
Les risques d'annulation des élections.
Elections at Fecafoot will henceforth be personal and not by a list or a group of persons. Mention was also made about the Executive Bureau of the Football Federation of 2009, which had Iya Mohamed as president and John B. Ndé as vice president.
Je peux vous dire que certaines mesures sont même déjà prises.
Some measures have been taken. For example, the areas of subventions to football leagues will be paid before the start of the next.
And some more sports in this newscast, where some board members of the National Olympic and Sports Committee met in Yaoundé to draw the balance sheet for the year 2017 and make projections into the year 2018. As you tell us, Tabby Clarkson.
Members of the National Olympic Committee this Thursday met in a board meeting at the Yaoundé Montfebe Hotel. Under the chairperson of the president of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee, Ahmad Kalkaba Maboum, the board members met to assess activities carried out by the National Olympic and Sports Committee in 2017. Also to discuss the next National Games, the Dixiards, which will take place next year in the town of Bafoussam. After close to 4 hours of deliberations, President Kalkaba Maboum was a satisfied man at the end of the meeting.
We have a strategic plan for 4 years. It is not often that an organization has one strategic plan. We made the evaluation of the past situation, and we decided to set up that strategic plan for 2 reasons. One, to prepare the major event, which is the Olympic event in 2020. So we want to plan how we can reach that event with the expectation for us to get good results, to be on the podium, because Cameroon knows the podium.
To some questions of journalists on the relations that exist between the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education, Ahmad Kalkaba Maboum said relations were good. This question from journalists was coming after the creation of a Commonwealth Games Association by the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education, and after the minister failed to invite Kalkaba Maboum during the 58th edition of the Cameroon Football Finals at the Yaoundé Omnisports Stadium, a final that was presided at by the President of the Republic. Problem or not, between Ahmad Kalkaba Maboum and Bidun Kwat, we have nothing to lose as we look forward to 2008.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and that's how we saw it for this edition of the news on Canado English. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful weekend. Stay with us if you can. Good night. God bless.